Up next, we have Eric Myers, and Eric is going to share the journey of updating over 6,000 curb ramps and how they manage this process through Cityworks Office for AMS and Cityworks mobile apps. They have also been exploring the benefits of an Esri Operations Dashboard for quick insight and reporting. Eric is from Beaverton, Oregon, and we will go ahead and give the time to you, Eric.
All right, thank you. Let me get this set up. All right, hopefully you can see my screen. We're good to go. So as she had mentioned, my name is Eric Myers, and my presentation here is going to be on using asset management to effectively assess, monitor, and improve ADA curb ramps at the City of Beaverton. So before I begin, I just want to do a little overview here, going into the history of the program, how the City of Beaverton, basically went through with its ADA transition plan from the federal government and how we now monitor ADA curb ramps at the city, and then go into the Cityworks and the GIS backend process for actually designing that infrastructure and monitoring the process, and how Cityworks has been helpful in streamlining that for everyone and adding transparency. Then just do a quick discussion on budget pre and post COVID. Just kind of interesting to make mention that as pretty much every organization has experienced, there's been a change in funding from street sources from the gas tax. And so that's kind of affected our ability to do curb ramps and changed how we're moving forward. And then I hope that based upon that, we can utilize Esri Operations Dashboard to provide insight quickly and easily to upper management and to understand where we're going and how different changes to the budget can affect that. So first, a little history. The ADA transition plan established by the City of Beaverton originally in 1995, and that's the Americans with Disabilities Act passed down from the federal government. It covers more than just ADA curb ramps, obviously. It also covers facilities, sidewalks, but I'm going to be focusing solely here on ADA curb ramps. And one thing I wanted to mention from 1995 till 2018 that's listed here, in 2016, there was a settlement between Oregon Department of Transportation and then the Association of Oregon Centers for Independent Living and Disability Rights Oregon. And what was discovered in that is that the state wasn't meeting its mandate passed down from the federal government. And so as a result, that settlement occurred in that lawsuit. And then it kind of jump-started local municipalities and counties to assess their ADA curb ramp inventories to make sure that the entire state was moving forward appropriately. And at that time, we did a quick assessment on our curb ramps, and we had about 5,700 curb ramps at the time. And out of the 15% we assessed, we were seeing about 1/3 of them were not in compliance. So at that point, we realized that we also had a problem and that we needed to rectify the issue. So in 2018, the city conducted an internal self-evaluation of all of its programs and services, including the ADA curb ramp. And one of the results of that was to develop this new title for ADA program coordinator within the street division that would oversee the ADA curb ramp project specifically. I just wanted to mention a quick little comment here is that estimates show 1 in 7 adults in the United States have a mobility-related disability, and that comes from the CDC. So that shows how important this work actually is to the entire community as a whole. So what we decided to do in order to design the back end using Cityworks Asset Management is we took the image that's there on the right, which is the ODOT inspection form that they use during the interviewing process. I mean, sorry, not the interviewing process, the actual training process. And we took that and then designed our GIS schema with those different fields in mind. And we wanted to do this to have a quantitative data model approach so that if the metrics that determine whether or not a curb ramp passed or failed changes, we wouldn't have to reassess the ramp. We already had that data ready to go, and then we can just slide the scale accordingly. And so it made it really easy for us to just seamlessly create our GIS data schema and build our Cityworks Asset Management business process off of this form that all of the municipalities were already going to use from their training. And so I have a quick video here that I'm going to show, but before I do that, I just wanted to do a quick overview of our Cityworks business process that we have. Is, you know, our ADA program coordinator would go ahead and create an upgrade to ADA work order. In that work order, he would attach and pre-create the assets and inspections, and then they would use Cityworks Mobile to go out in the field and inspect the data, take pictures and whatnot, and complete it. Now, you can't close an inspection out in the field. You can only complete it, and so then you would have to then go back into Cityworks Office at the end of the day and review and close down that work order, which is then the trigger point within Cityworks to write directly to the GIS. And after that is done, then you do the normal, you know, ELM and closing down your work order. But this video here is going to show kind of what we did and how we did it.
All right, so what I wanted to do here is just show on the left-hand side what the Cityworks inbox would look like for our ADA program coordinator, Chris. And so this is just a tab that I created that just shows some work orders that are currently open. This work order, upgrade to ADA 36776, is the one that we're currently working on. And I'm going to flip over to it right now. It's a work order that has spanned multiple years. It's based on the contract, and there's 223 assets within that work order. And each asset has an inspection, which most of them are completed. I'm going to open up a open inspection here just to kind of show that our template mirrors our GIS schema, to just prove that this is why we set it up this way, so that when a value is written into one of these fields, it'll write directly into the GIS with the appropriate information. And so what happens is when that occurs, our ramps change color. So if you see over here on the right, on the map side, we have different colors throughout the city. All the ramps start at pending if they don't have an inspection. And then as that inspection is completed, they'll jump to yellow, orange, or green. And that's depending on whether or not they meet compliance. Red ramps, however, will be a ramp that isn't yet installed at that corner that needs to be installed. And so in that situation, the ramp wouldn't, it wouldn't be blue, it would just go straight to green if it was compliant or not. But just to quickly show, I'm just going to grab a couple of these ramps here to open up the data table. But as you can see, the data that's being captured in the inspection is written directly to the GIS, which then influences the colors of the system. Now, what I'm gonna do here is open my Cityworks Mobile. And so there was that one inspection that was pending. And here they are, sorry about that. So as you can see, there's the inspections right here for the ramps, and the user can just go in. I mean, if they can geolocate themselves, if they're at the property, it'll bring them right to it in the mobile app. And then within Cityworks Mobile, this is the inspection. They can fill in all the observations, you know, as I showed, the function condition, ramp style, ramp run 1, the running slope, cross slope. They enter in all that information. They can also attach photos here that will be attached to the inspection. A lot of inspectors like to do that so that they have reference. And then once they're done, they just go ahead and mark it complete and sync it. And then what's going to happen is it's going to remove that inspection from mobile. You see that point's gone. And then when Chris goes ahead and logs in, if he's the one that did the inspection, there's a couple different groups, but if it's his group, then he'll go in and he will see that inspection here completed and needing to be reviewed and closed down. And there you can see it right there. And so how Cityworks works is when you close an inspection, if you have it set up, it'll write directly to the GIS. So closing the inspection down would then write to the GIS, which then would instantly change its color if it was compliant from blue to green. And then that's a way that we can quickly know and see our progress for the 88 curb ramp project.
All right. So thanks for bearing with me for that. I think it would have been easier to show the video than to try to do it live. There might be some issues that would occur. So what I wanted to do then is to go into talking about the different groups that utilize the ADA curb ramp inspection and process at the City of Beaverton. So there are 3 different groups that could do an ADA curb ramp. Large majority of them are done by the operations division with the overlays, but there are also times where a CIP project can occur that has an ADA curb ramp, and that would be from the engineering group, or new construction, and that can come from site development. And so what we wanted to do here is we wanted to create one solution for everyone, but because there's different processes involved, then we needed to keep certain aspects of the process separate. So everyone uses the same inspection template form, which then flows into GIS, but we wanted to make it so that the work orders, the actual work management, wasn't conflicting and getting mixed across. Since the City of Beaverton only has one domain for our asset management system, we don't have multiple domains for this type of work. So we kept different templates while keeping the same inspection. And then we also used the operations group, which does 95% of the overlays, to drive what we wanted the inspection to look like and feel. And so we had some pushback a little bit and some questions from some of the other groups, but because 95% of all the inspections done by the overlay group, we set up a process, try to facilitate and come and find common ground so that we could all use the same solution and get to the same end goal. So just to talk a little bit about the budget, as I mentioned earlier, this table here shows what our budget was pre-COVID, right? So we were planning out 5 years to go ahead and do curb ramps with a $1.5 million budget every year. At the time, we have about 6,000 ramps, so about 200 a year over 30 years. The project takes about 30 years, right, to get it done. However, things have changed now, and so we're kind of in a state of flux at the moment. We are now in a situation where we've lost approximately about 35% of our budget for the ADA curb ramp program. That may change as revenues continue to increase for gas taxes. If not, then we need to determine, maybe we need to adjust how long the program will take to complete. Do we need to bring in funds from elsewhere, like the general fund or whatever you may have? But it's just kind of, because of COVID, it's kind of created this situation where it'd be good for us to be able to better monitor what's going on and present those different issues to upper management. And so that's what kind of led us to possibly do this type of dashboard. And so we're in 2 phases. Right now, phase 1 is complete. Phase 1 is essentially showing the status of the curb ramps and what has and hasn't been done, seasonality, our goals, targets, different groups. Phase 2, which I'm hoping to get for the Innovate conference, would tie in some curb ramp costs and then the budgets. But before I dive into that, I just wanted to click through here. The image here is embedded into the Cityworks dashboard, but I felt it would probably be easier to bring it up in the actual web browser. And so this is an easy, quick way for our program coordinator to go ahead and make the case that certain areas, need work being done. This is our progress, where we are, how many have been compliant, how many we have exception needed, how many we still need to inspect, and then our breakdown by fiscal year for the different groups. And so we can see for the current fiscal year, we don't really have any ramps in the system yet for the site development, the new construction group, but we need to assess and see if maybe there's some that are pending and missing. So by doing this, this is an easy way to be able to see what's going on, where deficiencies may lie, where we may be missing data. And then our goal at this point was 200 ramps, but that was pre-COVID, so that number may drop down. I think on the other table I had it at 180, but maybe it might need to be 150 now, depending on the budget. And then it's also good just to kind of show trend line. We're very seasonal here. We're not, it rains a lot during the winter. And so I don't know if that's the greatest time to be doing pouring of concrete. So we do a lot of work during summer around that time. So it's just kind of good to see this. And then hopefully in the future, I'd like to not only include costs, but make it so that when you zoom in and out, you can dynamically change these different fields. So I think that'll be very valuable. So one more thing to mention is that phase 2, right? We have a new template that we've designed that is for the bid items. It shows every single bid item for the curb ramps, and then we will allow the ADA program coordinator to enter in those for the different curb ramps so that we can see the exact cost of the curb ramp, and then we can roll it up to the project. And then we could use those to possibly project out our budget, see if we're above or below our targets on the annual. We can dynamically forecast how long the program will take. Are we going to meet that? Do we need to move money over? All those opportunities present themselves once we start getting the actual hard numbers in, and then we can also compare it to the ELM that's going to be in the work orders. And so that's going to be an exciting time is to integrate that into the dashboard. And I mentioned we're going to be presenting at Cityworks Innovate in a couple of months. I'll be joined with 2 other colleagues, Chris, our program coordinator, and Maurice, who does the GIS, and they will dive in further on all 3 aspects: the history, the background, how we structured it and got the different groups integrated, and then the Esri Operations Dashboard. And hopefully by then we'll have the phase 2 dashboard ready to go and present. But that's pretty much all I have for today. So thank you.